What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I was thinking about kind of the basic stuff about writing instruments. For those of you that may not be familiar with fountain pens, with different writing instruments, we all could default to a Bic ballpoint at some point, right? Or you probably have your favorite one. You go to Staples or you go to some other office supply store and you walk down the aisle and you just grab the pen that you want. Without ever giving it any thought. And before I got into this and started learning about it, I did the same thing. I knew that I didn't like certain pens. I knew that I did like certain pens, but I didn't know why. And so we're going to dive in a little bit to the different types of ink and the different types of pen that you might not even know there was much difference. So we're going to talk about a basic ballpoint, like this Parker Jotter. This is a little more premium ballpoint, but it's not that expensive. We'll show you that. Then we're going to get into a gel pen. So this is a tactile turn with a Parker G2 refill. Gel's different than a ballpoint. I didn't even know that back in the day. And then we're going to get into a Rollerball, which is different from a gel pen, which is different from a ballpoint. Did you know there's a difference between a ballpoint and a rollerball? Different. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And then finally, of course, because we talk about fountain pens all the time, we're going to talk about fountain pens, the differences between them, the gives and takes, why you might want to have more than one kind around just in case you need them. I like to default to a fountain pen, obviously, but there are certain times, right, that you might need something else. So let's dive into this and be kind of fun. So a lot of folks might already know the difference between these few different kinds of pens, but we're gonna talk about it today anyway, because it's something I didn't actually really understand until recently. So this is obviously a ballpoint. I think this is just a Parker Jotter, and the way ballpoints work is they are a oil-based ink, okay, and the ball rolls in the end of the little cylinder and it draws the ink out of the pen onto the page. The thing is that it's oil-based mixed with alcohol. So the viscosity is such that when you write with it, you kind of have to more or less give it some pressure. See, if I give it a light pressure at the top, it doesn't start rolling right away. So you got to give it a little bit of pressure. So as you write with a ballpoint, you end up kind of building up pressure, if that makes sense, as you write. So you actually have to kind of, long and short of it is you have to push down to get the roller to roll because of basically the thicker viscosity of that oil-based ink. The good part about it is it's super dry, it dries super fast, and it just makes it easy. And it'll write on, less quality paper and slicker paper because it's oil-based ink. It's easy, it doesn't smear, it's reliable, it works. But if you're going to write for longer periods of time and you have to impart more pressure to the paper to work, then chances are you're going to get hand cramps and various things like that. So you can kind of step up the quality of your ballpoint. This is, I can't remember who makes this. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I bought this because it's designed by Pininfarina, which is amazing. The people that designed the coachworks for Ferrari back in the day. This ballpoint is absolutely super smooth, way smoother than the Parker Jotter. So there are different qualities of ballpoint, obviously, in the machining and in the design and also in the ink formulation. So it's something that you can sort of experiment with, but there are a lot less choices for reasonable money. I will say that this one is at Atlas Stationers right now on clearance. I got this for 10 bucks and it's a super cool pen. You twist it down here to retract the pen and you twist it back to do that. One of the downsides of ballpoints obviously is lack of color choices, right? Because refills can be more specific to the make of pen and you end up with less choices. This is obviously a extremely premium ballpoint, being a Mont Blanc, and it's amazing and it writes fantastically, but it's a ballpoint and you still run into those same kind of things when you write with this on a piece of paper for a long time. You still, the reason this pen is so heavy, they put a bunch of weight in here, so maybe you don't necessarily have to press as hard because the weight of the pen itself, but it's still doing the same thing, and this is a really expensive pen to get that. So anyway, so there's a ballpoint, there's a ballpoint, we got the Parker Jotter as a ballpoint, so we'll put those aside. Now the next thing I want to show you is a gel pen. So this is a tactile turn titanium bolt action pen. You can get these on Amazon. I'll leave a link to it. It's awesome. I love this pen. And this pen comes with a Pilot G2 refill. Pilot G2, and if you, we'll show a video of it writing up close, all these pens writing up close. Gel is sort of like a ballpoint. However, instead of it being in a kind of fatty acid alcohol oil base, this is the pigment is suspended in a gel base. So when you write with this, it's going to be a lot smoother than a ballpoint. So it's basically the same action, but the ink formulation is different. Now the downside is it's gel, so it takes longer to dry. So you can smear it. See that? We can get a little smear going on there, but it dries fairly quickly. So the first thing we wrote down, see, is already dry. The upside to a gel is that you get a lot smoother than a ballpoint, and you also get something that can write on a lot of different papers. This will write on really slick paper very well, you know, like receipts and stuff. It's great for taking notes. It's great for lots of stuff. A lot less effort than a ballpoint. And of course, you can get super cool pens such as this one. And a lot of different manufacturers make gel inserts. The Pilot G2 though is pretty stinking good and it's really cheap. So that is a gel. I love this pen. This is the pen that I use if I can't use a fountain pen. For some reason, if I'm going to be writing on stuff that I cannot, you know, use a fountain pen, typically this is the pen that I have with me that I write with. Now this is a pen that I just picked up, and actually this is my first one of these. I don't know if you've ever seen this brand before, Retro 51. This is the Thunderbolt edition. This is the Tornado by Retro 51. This is a rollerball pen, and these guys are super neato because they do a bunch of neat designs and various things. It's just a super cool pen. Now this is a rollerball, and I think you twist it like so to retract and extend the rollerball. So when you see this on the paper, you'll notice that the line is a lot tighter than a ballpoint or a gel. This pen it's got a ball in it. It's called a rollerball, but this has water-based ink in it. So this is not quite like fountain pen ink, but kind of. It's water-based ink. What I like about it is the line is a lot tighter. It's a lot cleaner. It writes with very low effort. It writes with a lot of, writes on a lot of papers. It works really well. So this is an excellent alternative for if you can't use a fountain pen. The gel and a rollerball are my favorites. This is my first Retro 51, and I have to say I really like it. It writes really well. This is something that you could keep in your bag, like I said, for a situation where you can't write with a fountain pen. Or if you don't want to get into fountain pens, but you do want to have something kind of cool, a lot of the fountain pen companies, even Lamy, even Pilot, etc., will have rollerball alternatives to their fountain pens. So you could get, for example, a Lamy Safari in a rollerball. So, you know, that's something that is pretty cool too. So this is a really smooth, really awesome selection idea. And of course, we come to fountain pens. We don't even need to talk about how awesome fountain pens are. Obviously, if you're here watching this channel or if you've seen any of my videos, you know I absolutely love them. I've got tons of them. You know, we're looking at different budgets here. I think this pen is about $30. This pen is about $150. This pen is about $250. You could go from, you know, $7 up to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But the benefits with a fountain pen are obvious. They give you so much more ink choice. They give you so much more design choice. They give you so much different writing experience. When we go from a steel nib to a gold nib, for example, this has a fine nib, this has a medium nib, this has a different medium nib. There's all the choices are almost endless with a fountain pen. Do you have a little more fiddling to do? Yeah, because you gotta make sure that they're clean and make sure that they work well. But if you keep it basic, like with a TWSBI Eco with a basic color, it will be pretty much as reliable as a Rollerball, but the writing experience will be much more customizable and much easier on your hands when you're writing for long periods of time. So we don't even need to get into why these are so cool. We will say that the ink is water-based for the most part. So the downsides would be, depending on the paper choice, because you have to use paper that doesn't soak through, bleed through. So this is like Rhodia Dot Pad is an excellent example of that. The other thing is that depending on the paper and the ink combination with the nib, so if you have a really broad nib with a really wet ink with a really soft paper, then chances are your dry time is going to be a lot longer. So if you're a lefty like me, you kind of have to use caution with that. So you kind of have to pick the kind of combinations. If you want me to do a video about my choices for left-handed fountain pen stuff, let me know. I would be happy to do that. So that's the thing. There's so many more choices, but a little bit more to think about. I mean, so the long and the short of it is, if you're a collector-y kind of guy like me, you're just gonna get this stuff because you like this stuff. But if you have to make a practical choice for day-to-day basis, what I would say is, obviously a ballpoint is the least fun to write with, the least color choices, and the most fatigue on your hands if you have to write for long periods, but it's also the easiest because it's what we all know and it writes on everything, right? So there is that. And you can get, like I said, you can get premium ballpoints that are really nice. This thing's awesome. Then the next would be the gel thing. So the gel thing I really love. This is something that I use every day. This tactile turn pen lives in my backpack. I've got 2 of these. And if you have to write on a receipt or something, sometimes there's some really slick paper. This will work really well. So I kind of have that thing around. I'm new to the Rollerball stuff. I haven't had very many of these, but I really, really do like them. So this will give you the most fountain penny sort of flavor. And there are Rollerballs out there that you can change the color in, like change ink colors and stuff. I think the ink formulation is still a little different though than a fountain pen, so you might want to look into that a little bit more. I don't know a whole lot about that. But fountain pens obviously are my favorite. You can get crazy with them, like I said. And this is what I'm going to default to for the best writing experience. Anyway, there's a little overview of the various ink types, what I personally use them for. I don't know how many of these they have left, but there was like 10 bucks on clearance the last time I checked, and this is a really cool pen. Anyway, I'll have all this stuff linked in the description. If you want them, you can get them. I know if you use the Atlas Stationers link, you get 10% off if you use the code Dylan10. And then a couple of these are on Amazon, so I'll leave links to those as well. If you use the links, they help out the channel a little bit. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next video. What is your favorite of all this stuff? What have you experimented with? Let me know in the comments.